most people are just amazed that Akademiks has never met Drake. There's 550 comments.
I'ma get $1 million in the bank.
It's Rap Latte. I'm Toure.
And I am King Green. These are deeper conversations about hip hop.
But what are you laughing about?
Yeah, as you can see, I have my phone in my hand. And you posted a little video about Akademiks. Let me get my glasses because you posted it, and in this video you were responding to him to your tweet, and these people, the comments are amazing. Because you called him basically an unpaid publicist because you said he just promotes Drake, and that's someone said that you dropped Meet the Grams on Akademiks. And then most people are just amazed that Akademiks has never met Drake. There's 550 comments. You dropped this like an hour ago. Honorary Farnsworth Bentley head ass. Never met Drake.
Green, tell me the real though. If you call a journalist and talk to them for 3 minutes and tell them, I want you to tell them that I'm dropping an album first quarter. Okay, bye. And then the journalist goes, Green is dropping an album first quarter. Are they a journalist or they're a publicist? Technically, would ask you questions. Tell me about the album. What are you doing? Why are you doing an album now? How is it different than the last album? A publicist just puts out the information. That's
true. And what I liked is someone who made a comment, if we're going to be real about it, because, Akademiks is going to be mad at you anyways, because this has got like 30,000 views already in like an hour. So he's probably going to see that, and he's going to beef with you. He's probably going to try to talk shit about me, too. He's going to be like, ain't that green nigga on your show? That BS. But anyways, the point of the matter is that the publicists, journalism, these things don't even mean anything to the newer generation. They don't really even understand that, even a publicist, right? So the difference to them, because when you see somebody who I love and appreciate, someone like Kai Cenat, who just did a 30-day marathon of him bringing in guests and all that stuff. He's a publicist. He's interviewing. He's a game show. He's a TV show. He's a sitcom. Everything has no real boundaries and understanding or formulas or methods or structures put into place for these newer generations that they don't really understand what they're seeing or watching. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I love Kai Cenat. There's a place for all of these people, for Joe Budden, whatever. But we're getting lumped as media, which includes Budden, Elliott Wilson, Akademiks, me, and we're not all doing the same thing. There's room for everybody. But I go out and interview people because I care about the culture and I want to understand them more deeply. And I can understand you better by sitting with you in your hood, looking you in the eyes and be like, okay, so why'd you use that sample here? What does that represent? What are you saying with this lyric? And talk to people about, this is the meaning of what this artist is really trying to do here. That, to me, is journalism. That's the sort of reporting that I've been doing throughout my career.
And having a voice, like a journalist has a voice.
Getting a phone call and just regurgitating what the artist told you, the fact the artist told, that there's no context. There's no forwarding the culture. And you've built a business, but what are you doing for the culture? What are you doing for the lives of the people who care about this culture? That I have carried with me, that I was fortunate enough to get to interview somebody, but there's a million other people in this hip hop culture who would love to interview them. What do they want to ask? What do they need to know to make this album more meaningful to them? Because I got to speak to so-and-so, but let me tell you what they said about, that's what I've been trying to do. And I feel like and some people are a little bit more for look at me, and get out of the lens. Get out of the way of the camera, boo, dude.
I agree with you, and the whole thing about that. The one thing I want to bring out is that Ak has a fan base, and people are growing and building fan bases. Fan bases and being a journalist or being anything are two different things, because you can have a fan base for anything nowadays because you're showing up. True. Just because you're showing up. And I respect you for building a fan base, kind of, but not really, because Trump has a fan base. Like anybody can have a fan base if you put the work
Facts.
in within this new ecosystem that created, and he was just there and showed up and put in the work to build that fan base. So people are just there to pass the time because people have nothing to fucking do. They're watching shit on YouTube. You are there. I can now click on this shit because it's actually there. You put a better quality product next to that, you will get completely X'd out. But the issue is that when you have this fan base, people try to weaponize their fan base because usually when you have something like that, it's not they're just going for you. They're not thinking for themselves. They're just trying to project for. Go ahead.
Let me pull back just a little bit because I think for a long time in music and entertainment culture, as well as in sports culture, media was a separate realm, and only people who were basically like nerds in high school ended up becoming media, and media in many cases was different than the people we were covering. And I think over time that started to change and grow, and now there's a lot of practitioners in media, people like you, people like Joe Budden. When you talk about in basketball podcasting, knuckleheads, all the smoke, people who did it, who are now talking about it, what have you. And there's a tremendous amount of legitimacy when you have been in the locker room, you have been on the field, you have been in the studio and on the stage, and you can talk about, this is what I hear, this is what I think. When I see X doing Y, I'm like, this is how they felt, or this is what they meant, because I was there, or my man was there, and I watched them go through it. I know. And the practitioners can say something that others can't, right? Because they live that experience. And then there's people like me who tried to bring like a serious level of journalism to the situation. I interview, a ton of people, do deep interviews, come to some deep understanding of the culture. And there are things that journalists can and will say that sometimes practitioners won't, right?
Yeah, that's a fact.
Academics falls into neither of these buckets. And if you don't fall into one of these buckets, then we should be a little bit cynical and questioning about, like, why are you here in the media space? And he kind of reminds me of Pat McAfee in on ESPN, and that Pat McAfee rose because he was super close to Aaron Rodgers. And when we had a lot of questions about what is Aaron Rodgers doing with Green Bay, what is he talking about with COVID, he's constantly popping up on the Pat McAfee show. Do I care about anything else Pat McAfee has to say? No, but he's got the A-Rod conversation on lock. So we keep checking in with him. And then he became his own name. And McAfee is a practitioner, so that screws up the analogy a little bit. But if you can't say to the audience, I at least was a practitioner or I am a deeply studied journalist, why are you talking if you're not one of those? What are you adding to the conversation?
Oh, like the girl that said honorary Farnsworth Bentley. But yeah, the that's what I'm saying. The media space is so, and this is what we're trying to talk about. The media space is so just in a wild, wild west space. And when I think of media and the word content, these are corporate terms for these entities. When there's a art behind journalism, there's an art behind being an artist, or all these things. And then when you bring in like, hey, I'm just showing up on the internet, they're developing their craft. There's a craft somewhere in there that's being developed before our eyes. They're still in development mode, and because it's so new and fresh and what people are into, there's a lot of eyes on these things. But that doesn't mean because you have a lot of eyes, because you're just a live streamer and you're talking and now someone could be a companion with you and they like you, that you have valid points about culture, or that you care about culture, or that you should have any weight or say within this culture. It's more so about just your personal gain and fan base. It's just personal attributes.
I mean, I think as you and I come from a place of loving hip hop, and we thus love Kendrick because he is forwarding hip hop, his mission is authentic hip hop,
and he loves hip hop. That's why.
And he loves hip hop. This individual loves and seems to almost worship Drake, and it seems to me to be creating a lot of noise in the system because he's just spreading a lot of Drake information Does this add to the culture in some way? Like, I don't know. You know, it just feels like a lot of noise from a mouthpiece rather than an actual contextualized, intelligent conversation about hip hop.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I've seen from him and what he's done is just kind of like red pill hip hop shit. Like, it's just coming from that perspective, and it's like that's something that I just don't even care to communicate about because I'm just grown and I don't care about idiotic opinions about things. Like, he's also I know he made like a whole what I know of him is that he made a whole thing about like Chicago and talking about different crews and beefs and gangs and stuff like that, and did like a whole expose. And some people said it was like, you know, pushing the beefs even more. Yeah. And I'm like, that's some Fed talk shit. And I can't, I'm like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I can't really give any credit to somebody who's just talking to people. Like, he's making friends and talking to friends. You're just talking to people who have the same mind state as you. You don't really care about the culture. You talk about money as something of value, as like merit. Money doesn't make you credible. Money doesn't make you have merit. Money just makes you afford a nice life for yourself. I don't care if you afford a nice life for yourself. That's good for you. Now, are you a good person? You a bad person? Do you care about the culture? Do you like, what do you do? Like, you just make money?
Yo, when he attacked my tweet and went off about I made lots of money doing this business, you know what I thought? Well, I'm really glad that you're able you know what I thought? Well, I'm really glad that you're able to support your family.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh wait. Wait. He does not have children. Like, you do not have a wife. You don't have a family that you're supporting. All right. And I'm like really thinking about myself. It wasn't Meet the Grams. Which one was it? It was like, you don't know nothing about raising children, teaching them morals and discipline, waking them up to go to school.
So you dropped Meet the Grams on them?
I'm like, oh, okay. So it was all about money for you. I feel like there are people who want real, contextual, intelligent information, informational food about hip hop. I've been trying to deliver that for 30 years. I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't understand what your project is.
Yeah, it's self-aggrandizing. It's the same reason why Drake is. You have to be a red pillar to fuck with Drake at this point, because you have to feel like, yo, I'm next up, or I could be next up. So when you see somebody who's rich, you're like, that could be me. But then you don't have any of the capabilities or opportunities. Sometimes it's not your fault. Do you understand that there's people who do not have the opportunity to ever get any cake? They're not going to get money. And that's because the system is against the infrastructure of capitalism is not going to help these people become Drake. I'm sorry. So him or having the conversation about money creating the value of you and merit in your audience and whatever you're talking about, I don't get that. I don't get that. Like, we want to actually hear you talk about something. He's the guy that brings numbers into it. Like, he's like, this sold 300,000, so it's good. Oh, okay, so this beat is hot now because this sold 300,000. It's like, you know what? That verse is crazy because now I know that this sold 300,000. It's like, that's not how that works. Like, I like talking about actual music, you know? But money, it's its own thing.
I mean, yes, I make more money than you doesn't actually solve anything, unless we're saying we're both day traders or we're both working in the stock market. So, like,
if you're talking about money,
the measure,
yeah,
right? But like, that you made a lot of money doing your show, like, that's fantastic. Like, I salute that.
I'm actually happy for you.
You're a capitalistic success. Like, you go, boy. But like, what you're doing has value. But you're not in media. You're a publicist, right? Like, what we're doing is media. We're talking about the important issues, putting them in context, right? Asking questions, right? Seeking answers, right? Like, that is a media relationship with the audience, right? Telling them your favorite star said such and such, and I read on the internet such and such. Like, So are
Gossip.
we really reporting live from the internet? Like, is that really what's happening right now?
Yeah, it's that gossip talk. I mean, when we think about these other pages too, a lot of these rap pages and rap thing. Let's take it all beyond even academics. So a lot of it is just gossip stuff. Like I'm seeing like this rapper bought a chain, and that's getting posted, or I'm seeing this person talk about who this person's married to or dating and all that type of stuff. And there's sometimes where that context applies to the music. Maybe this guy made an album about his ex-girlfriend, so you like understanding their relationship and all that type of stuff. It can apply. And I don't want a blanket statement and say like this is over there and this is over here and this is right and this is wrong when it comes to concepts and content. But I do want to say that there is a understanding and in love for culture that exists with certain people and certain creators, and then there's the ones who just want the attention, and you can see the difference.
I mean, look, all the conversation about us as glazers because we are trying to put Kendrick's brilliance in context is heard. It's ridiculous. It's offensive. It is damaging to the potential of even having a conversation because it shows you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So the opposite of that, or the corollary to that, is the apologists, right? Like, and Akademiks is probably the number 2 biggest apologist as far as what's hip hop media. What is Mal's problem? Like, he's a Drake apologist beyond fucking Akademiks. It goes to a almost like Get Out level of like, what are you doing? Like, how could you look at the camera and say Kendrick won and the other Drake won, and like every opinion, like you talk about red pill, he's Drake pilled. Like, I don't even understand like how that even
man
is.
said Drake
like
pilled.
It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, on that, it's like you could just tell people have their allegiances. Like you either somebody is either too dumb to realize or is in bed with the opposition, or the person is in bed with Drake. You're either too dumb to realize Drake lost, or you're in bed with Drake.
You mean figuratively, right?
Yes, obviously. But,
symbolically.
Symbolically. No.
In a world of freak-offs, we got to make sure we're clear.
Don't. I won't say no because I have nothing to really say about this specifically, and specifically with Maul, because it's like it's clear, it's present. If you're gonna stand up, you stand up for your guy. You stand up for your guy, and that's just what it is. We are not standing up for our guy because Kendrick's not our guy. We're standing up for culture and enjoy the music. He might be our guy as far as like we appreciate and love his artwork, but I don't know this man, and I'm not in bed with in the business and all that type of stuff, so I'm not gonna just be, no matter what, say Kendrick is this. If Drake won, we'd be on Drake's side. It's just that simple. I don't understand.
Identify that Drake won. I mean, it does feel like a Trumpian.
Maybe you wouldn't.
Rejection of reality. I would. It feels like a Trumpian, like alternative facts rejection of reality. When you're like actually in media talking, first you're talking about Drake won the battle, Family Matters was the shit. Like, what are you talking about? Now you're talking about if you're on the conspiracy theory of UMG is trying to screw Drake and that's QAnon. That's the hip hop 2024 equivalent of QAnon, because it's bullshit. That did not happen. This is a temper tantrum. The legal action is a temper tantrum. And you guys defending him like, oh, wow. Like, is it like, stop. You're misinforming a generation of people, and you're doing harm to the audience by disinforming them. And it is dangerous to spread this sort of misinformation to the people.
You said it. That was a bar right there, and you said it. It's dangerous to spread misinformation to people. It's dangerous to not let the conversations play out so people understand that certain things are opinion and understand where your abilities are. Like, I have to know what I'm talking about to be able to dissect a bar, to dissect lyrics, to go in there and actually give you some information. Whereas if I just wanted to say, hey, I think this person is doing freak offs, or I think they're stealing money from this person. I think this guy's crew is shooting this crew. I'm just saying things and putting it out in the air, and you could actually cause issues when your voice gets big enough. So if you only care about, and in that reason, that's why I think a lot of people retract and stay inside and don't go outside when they do this type of work in this new media space.
Well, let's touch on one issue, because in his little rant about me at the end of his stream or whatever, he made this point about, like, I have lots of money in this business that I've built. Do you think that Payola does not touch Akademiks? That at some level there's not a place where labels are able to pay him?
Ain't no way that man didn't get some money.
Oh, thank you. So right, so that asserted. And he went in, he called us K-bots, Kendrick bots, and then just blanket, like, well, of course they're being paid. So immediately into the conspiracy theory space. So it's very red pill, it's very Drake pill, but like, we are not being paid by Kendrick or any label. You're being paid by a label when you make music, but not for the things that you say here on this show. So we're not being paid by labels, certainly not by Kendrick. I actually did see some comments on Twitter, which was much more pro Drake, which is very interesting that we keep making these Drake Trump analogies, and Twitter is very pro Drake. And someone was like, well, Kendrick doesn't come and give you a hug. Kendrick was on my podcast. That was a minute ago, but Kendrick did my podcast, right? He gave me an interview, right? So it's not like, oh, Kendrick doesn't know who you are. Like, he gave me an interview. And through all the battle, when Drake was hot as fish grease, you couldn't get an interview? You couldn't get Drake to give you a 5-minute interview? You know how many millions of views that would have got?
Whole lot. And Drake didn't go there. He went to that white dude's stream. He didn't go to Axe stream. He could have pulled up on Axe stream.
Custard.
That whole situation is mad interesting. I really, like I said, all that's red pill to me. I blanket all of them. Once you say some stuff about like how women should be treated, once you start leading with money, if I have a conversation with you and you lead with money, you don't even have real money. Because the people who I know who have real money don't ever talk about money. They never talk about money. And we're talking about hundreds of millions to $1 billion, the people that have actual money. So once you start talking about money, it's like, come on now. Just this whole intro to this whole show with $1 million. That is a song about art versus commerce, as being an artist, how it is to deal with the fact that you want to make valuable art, but you also want to be paid by this art, but then you feel like, oh, am I doing this art just to get paid? That concept goes through the mind of someone who actually cares about art. Whereas most people will probably listen to that song and not even understand that through line and think they just hear, oh, $1 million in the bank. This is a manifestation song.
The beautiful thing about that song, so much of hip hop is saying, I got money. I got chains. I got cars. M&M's in my garage. Maybach and Mercedes, whatever.
Yeah.
That song, your song, is about the desire for money and the attempt and the scheming and the working and I'm trying to create 3, 5, 7 streams to get there, but I'm not there yet. I was in the room with Pharrell and Kanye. They went up. I didn't, but I'm still fighting to get there. And it's like the average middle class man is in the same bag. I'm fighting to get my I'm trying to get my bag, right?
Trying to get my bag, and it's not. And the point too, I'm just promoting myself kind of, but I'm saying the whole point too is that I'm recognizing capitalism, and I'm recognizing that it's not built for me. And it's like, yeah, they won, and I was associated with them, and nothing happened.
I've been wanting to do a show about hip hop for a long time and trying to figure out how to do it. And when I saw the King Green show on TikTok and the way that you talked about bars, the way you talked about contracts, I was like, this is a practitioner who I could do something like really valuable with. And like, I know a lot, and then I can kick to you about like, he knows even more than me, and his opinion really matters because he's been out there on the field, right? And I just think that folks should have that level of media literacy to understand who are you listening to in this hip hop quote unquote media space. Are you listening to practitioners who've been there, done that, and know what they're talking about? Are you listening to journalists who have interviewed 100, 1,000 musicians and understand what they're talking about? Or are you listening to somebody who's done neither and maybe doesn't have any idea what they're really talking about?
And you probably just like the fact that they crash out and you've now enjoyed their personality at this point. You got used to their personality. You know, when you see, it's a psychological thing, and we could end it here. I just want to say that. It's like when you see something enough, when you get enough of it, you start liking it. Especially when you see enough of a person, you're going to start understanding their idiosyncrasies and enjoying them. And I think that's what happens a lot on the internet with a lot of people. And if you're seeing people be expressive and crash out, you can be like, yeah, that's right. Or maybe you start not liking them. But either way, we here. Rap Latte. I'm glad we did this show, and I'm glad this show exists because the people who do follow us and subscribe, they seem to be enjoying it. Let's keep talking.
We appreciate them. We're gonna keep doing it. I'm Toure. It's Rap Latte.
Oh yeah, remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. We gotta say that now because you know we YouTubers. We trying to be like Act. You know what I'm saying? We want all that money in the basement.